Jesus. Oh, that's not going to work for you. Welcome to fucking Christmas week, where nobody is paying a fucking lick of attention to what they're doing. Oh yes, I'm going to do a moto vlog today. I'm out all on my Tobler. It's a Wednesday afternoon and I am off work. I'm actually off work for the Christmas. I'm off to the New Year, which is something I have always done for my whole working life. I've always taken the 2 weeks off around Christmas where I could, and nobody's yet to tell me no, which I'm kind of lucky. But anyway, and what I'm talking about today is, I guess based off of the last video where I showed off this bike, is I had a couple of people sort of ask or intimate or whatever, is that like, I thought you were a BMW lad, like I thought you were a BMW for fucking life, and why didn't you buy a BMW? And so, while I make an idiot of myself because I'm not used to this bike going up these roads, I will give you some idea, because it did make me think a little like what it was, and I did have it formulated in my head. It just wasn't assembled. So why I didn't buy a BMW? First of all, like, I stack BMW up against everybody else, and where I sort of, you know, thought they were well ahead of the pack, and it stood them out from everybody else, is the sort of after sales service and warranty repairs and breakdown recovery and all that sort of messing. And so I said, yeah, no, that's good. It's good that they have actual dealer support here in Ireland. Like, there's a couple of other places that have sort of dealer support where there's one or two sort of, you know, main dealers that would have had trained mechanics and all that sort of stuff, but, you know, BMW seemed to cut above the rest. And the last year or so, it's been hit and miss with them, to be honest. Like, I mean, they did me, I don't know if they did me a solid, but like, they did a warranty repair they really didn't need to do. There was some paint chipped off an engine casing, and they said, fuck it, we'll replace the engine casings. And that was pretty sound, because the bike was actually out of warranty. So that was nice of them. The thing against them was the fucking holiday where we were trying to do the, we were on the Ring of Kerry, and Graham's bike broke down, and it turned out to be a simple enough thing. It was just the battery was fucked, and they sort of took many hours to get to us, and then they gave him a car to drive home in, so that was fucking holiday over. And then they took like a solid week to even look at the bike, and even then they sort of fucked around with it for a couple of days until they finally said, fuck it, we'll chance a new battery in it. They didn't even want to open a new battery just to try it. So eventually it was like, yeah, that was it. And so there he is, a fucking week and a half without a bike after his holiday fucked, and they're just like, there's your bike back. You know, that's what you pay for a fucking warranty or extended warranty. And man, I am glad I didn't pay for that. They wanted nearly 500 quid for a year of extended warranty, and only to discover that in Ireland it isn't worth a bollocks. The recovery part, you might as well use the recovery from your insurance. At least then they'll give you a lift home. But and so I was seriously impressed and also not impressed. One thing that we sort of noted at the time is that, like, if this had happened when we were out in Germany or Austria, we would have been back on the road within a couple of hours. Like, the impression I get is that they're not fucking about, you know, in the normal course of events, but this is very much a sort of a welcome to Ireland type thing, as opposed to a BMW in general thing. But it reflects badly on them, and it potentially lost them a sale or two sales or two customers. So that was not great. So it wasn't that I went in saying I'm not going to buy a BMW again. I just sort of went, they're just stacked up in the same sort of stack rank, if you like, as all the other manufacturers, and I'm just going to look at the bikes at face value and just assume, yeah, I'll get warranty repairs done, but that's about it, you know. So that was that. So it was stacked up against the I think my short list eventually got down to this bike or the Triumph 1200, or one of a couple of BMWs, possibly a GS Adventure and possibly an XR. I never really looked at the new RS, but we'll get on to the new RS in a second. The other thing that sort of meant that BMW didn't really stand out, and you know, I got it down to the bikes, and then I looked at what BMW was putting out, and it's funny, it's only I went to EICMA EICMA over in Italy, and I saw the new, in inverted commas, bikes that BMW are putting out, and they're really kind of not new. I mean, there's a new engine, but all the reviews and all the press that I've seen is that, like, there's really nothing, you know. I'm sure it's very impressive as an engineering feat, but it doesn't do much for you, you know. You wouldn't upgrade your bike to your side of the road. You wouldn't upgrade the bike based off of just the engine. And the other thing is the digital dashboard. I think BMW have a name on it, which, you know, seems to be pretty nice. So I was kind of waiting to see what they added to some of the other bikes aside from the GS and the RT. And they added it to the RS. And speaking of the RS, I sort of was over there and I sat up on the RS, the new one, or next year's one, or whatever it is, and I just wasn't fucking impressed. It's not a new bike at all. You know, it's got a new engine and a new dash, but, like, it's not a new bike. Like, the sort of very dated looking lettering and stuff on the side is fine, and if you sit on that bike and you look at the dash, they haven't reworked the dash at all. All they've really done is whip the old clocks off and, you know, thrown on the digital thing, and there's just a big open space because the digital thing is smaller than the old clocks, and it just looks weird. It just looks like they didn't really fucking try. So the new RS is very fucking phoned in. You know, I don't see them selling a lot of them, and it's kind of a shame because it's a nice bike that I enjoy, but I absolutely would not see myself buying one. The new GS is nice. The thing with the GS is that it's a good fucking standard, like, you can just get one and it'll be grand. It'll be a grand bike, just fucking, you know, it has all the best bells and whistles, does everything it can, costs about the same as, you know, the other contenders. You know, it's no big hassle and it's grand, and there's loads of, you know, extra gear you can get for it if you're into your hanging a load of fucking Touratech shit off it, or a load of what's the other fucking lads making a ton of things for BMW's Wunderlich, or one of those other lads, and that's great. And so that was a good sort of a fallback. Like, I'll definitely have it as a contender. The other thing was the XR, which I was hoping would get the digital dashboard and, you know, or sort of a rework or something like that, and I'll see. Didn't get anything. It got a new paint job, or it got BMW marketing's thing done to it. It's like, here's the triple black, and what the triple black is a bike that is black, and that's pretty much it. And it's fucking, I don't know, it's like, there's a new paint job, like there's 3 new paint jobs per bike per year generally, right? And so the triple black is just like ooh, it's black. It's like, I don't get it. So the XR can go to fuck. It seems to be a nice bike. I've never actually ridden one, and this is one of the things that I will sort of level at the dealer, is that they don't have a test ride RS in, or they haven't for big chunks of time over the last little while. And you ask them, like, why don't you have a fucking XR? It's one of your top selling bikes. And they're like, oh, we can never keep one in. And I'm like, well, don't fucking sell it then. You know, and it really is like with BMW that they don't need a test ride bike in, because people just come in and buy the fucking thing out of the catalogue. So why should they keep one sitting there depreciating in value when they've got GSs flying out the fucking door? Although that said, KTM didn't give me a test ride of a modern version of this either. So, but then again, that's very much a welcome to Ireland type thing. And so with BMW sort of not having a head start in terms of what you get in after sales service, and just with the kind of phoned in nature, you know, the kind of not really trying nature of the new bikes that they put out recently, I was just like, you know, I'll give them their shot, but they just didn't stack up. And so it really was a toss-up between this and the Tiger XRX or XRT, whatever the top spec one is. And it really was a case of just like getting to go sit up on the bikes at the EICMA show and seeing how you like them, and seeing how you like the look of them, and, you know, the spec and what you get for the money and all of that. Triumph do get you a little more on extras and shit. The thing with the KTMs that I do kind of like is they don't give you a price for the bike that doesn't include, like, fucking basic shit, like, you know, the traction control and etc, etc. There's like, there's the quick shifter and hill starter travel pack, which is like 700 quid, which is, you know, not a lot of money when you're buying a fucking 18 to 20 grand bike. But you look at the sort of list price for the Tigers, and that's the list price, but then you should add 2 or 3 grand if you actually want to fucking go big or go home. And I'm at a point with this bike where there's not a lot I could have added to it. Like, I got the engine bars and the travel pack and a few other bits, and the alarm, and the extras are reasonably priced, and there's a lot of what KTM call power parts, which is just like Gucci little parts you can put on if you really fucking want to, but there's none of them that I consider, you know, oh, this is actually a necessity before it's a proper fucking tricked out bike. Like, there's a load of orange fucking brake reservoir caps and, you know, that kind of shit. So that's possibly what swung it a little bit for me. And also the RS was kind of a slow-ish bike, and I wanted to get a slightly faster bike. I know the bike's as fast as you ride it, but this bike is a lot more crack to ride than the Triumph was. It's a lot more sort of sat up, and, you know, it's just more, I just enjoyed riding it more. Fuck you. So that's it. Sorry BMW for not buying another BMW bike. I'm sure you're fucking gutted, but you know, it's nothing to do with like the lads out in Joe Duffy where I got, you know, the 2 BMW bikes I've had are sound lads, and, you know, they've always done right by me, but it was time to try something else. And so we'll see how M50 Honda do, or the one KTM dealer in the Republic do, and we'll see. I'm actually out today because I have a note from my mechanic saying I have to do 1,000 kilometers before it goes in for its 1,000 kilometer service tomorrow. So we'll see if I'll get that done. I'm on what, 883 kilometers. I've had the bike nearly a month, and I just went away for 2 of those weeks. It's been a difficult time for me, you know, 2 out of 4 weeks and I have a brand new fucking bike sitting at home under a cover. Hate that. And so right about now is when I make a lot of promises, because I'm off for 2 weeks. There's going to be a load of videos and shit, but I'm not going to do that, because my plan for the next 2 weeks is a lot of being up on this bike, but it's also a lot of sitting on my couch full as a fucking egg playing Red Dead Redemption 2. Fuck y'all can eat my ass. There will be a bit, I'm sure. I have a couple of other toy runs I'm thinking of doing. I was at the Tal Hospital toy run there last weekend, which was generally a decent run, but a bit slow moving, and then it turns out the organisers didn't clear it with the guards, so we got hassled by guards. That was good crack. Anyway, if I don't see you over Christmas, have a good one. There's some geography for you, and if not, I shall talk to you again. Good luck.